And welcome back to another episode of The Big Boys, brought to you on the Pregame Network. It's me, Uncle Neely, and always joined by the one and only, the expert in all things college football and beyond, Coach Carl Reed. Coach Reed, how you making, fam?
Man, it's good to be here. It's great to be here, man. It's been an eventful weekend. It's been an eventful week, man. A lot of big time things going on in college football. I can't wait to tap into them with you.
Let's just go ahead and tap into it right now. As we have this conversation, the transfer portal has been open for about a week now. Give us the lay of land, what you're seeing, what you're hearing, what can people expect to come?
Well, number one, we obviously got a lot of good players at the top that are going in, guys who want more money. An interesting trend we're seeing is there may be more value for a guy going in the portal and getting money than going into the NFL draft and being a day three pick. So you're seeing a lot of those guys making those decisions. You're also seeing some guys making some bad decisions. Some guys jumping in the portal, trying to improve their situation on bad advice, bad counsel from agents that aren't qualified to be putting you in those situations. And then you have the casualties. As rosters have to shrink from 125 to 105, it's some guys that just can't make it with their programs anymore. So those things are affected as well.
Man, a lot to dig into right there. I want to go back to that first one because I want to make sure the folks out there are catching this. We've always known that with collectives and NILs and with 95% of the guys who play in college sports at any particular sport ain't going pro, that this represents a singular opportunity to actually get paid for what you do in athletics. And for many of them, it's the last time they'll be paid. Man, it's profound for you to point out that so many of these people now can make more money paying collegiate sports than they would going in the third, fourth, or fifth round undrafted free agency.
Yeah, it is, man. I mean, some of these offers that some of these kids are getting are ridiculous, and they really have to think about it. Right now, if you're a big time player, if you're a guy that's got a lot of interest, it may behoove you to stay in college as long as you can and cash up on that money. Key to it is handling your money right, getting with the right financial advisor. So when you're making that money, you're able to invest it and make it work for you. That's something that these guys really have to be taught about in a big way, and that's the financial literacy aspect of it.
Yeah, I was about to touch on that because, there's so many, I want to call them, I guess, cottage industries that developed because of pro sports, agency, marketing, financial advisors, the list goes on and on. Now, those same professional services are going to be needed on the collegiate level more than ever, but people have to know who they're hiring and know the track record. And can these folks actually deliver what they're saying they can while you're paying them for the service?
Well, you got to think about it. Let's say you get $1 million as an NIL athlete. Some of these agents are charging guys up to 20%.
Come on, Carl.
They charging them 20%, you know? So think about it from this perspective, Neely. A guy gets $1 million deal and he owes somebody, he signed an agreement to pay somebody 200,000. Well, here's where it comes in at. That's the million is net. What about the taxable income? How is your deal rolled up? So after you get taxed at 40%, now you only got 600,000 left. You gave your agent 200,000. So now you got 400,000 left, right? You ain't even bought your car and your gold chain yet, right? So
Yeah.
that sets you back 100,000, right? So now you got 300,000 left. Guess what? Your mama rent due, right? You
Yeah.
got to take care of moms. Now you're down to 200,000. It doesn't go as long as you think if you don't have a plan. Yeah, you don't need to buy a new car. You don't need a chain, right? You can help moms. We can always help moms, right? And you
Mhm.
don't need to be giving somebody 20%. So you have to educate yourself, right? Because an educated man cannot be robbed and will not be fooled. And so we got to get these guys education when they're dealing with this money.
Man, you said something there. One of Thomas Jefferson's quotes, and I always point out Thomas Jefferson wasn't talking about us when he said these profound things. But he said, in order to have freedom and democracy, you also got to have education because people got to know what they're voting on and know what they're doing, or else it's just a sham. So, same thing in this situation. Freedom is not free. And a lot of these guys are getting this financial freedom for the first time. And there's a lot of ripple effect on the back end of it if you don't know what you're getting into.
Absolutely, man. And it can get real ugly for you, man, real fast. So these guys have got to take care of their money. And you need somebody qualified, not your cousin, not your uncle, not your little league coach. You need somebody who really knows what they're doing and who can help you through those situations.
Yeah, absolutely. One thing we don't want to skip over since the last time we talked. Finally, it's official. The Heisman Trophy was awarded. Travis Hunter was the winner. Closer margin than I would have expected. I thought that what Travis brought to the table the first time ever in college football, you would have had a bigger gap, but I'm willing to chalk that to the prime effect. But the biggest shock that I saw was when they released the final tabulations that Shedeur Sanders was not only eight, but had a tight end in front of him, and Army's quarterback was even in front of him. Thoughts on the Heisman and how it ended and when you got to see the final tabulations.
Shador being number 8 is crazy work, nasty business. You mentioned it, the race being so close, you got to pay a prime tax. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? There's going to be people that take such a hard position against Coach Prime that they're just not going to vote for you. They're just not going to, support you. And that's just what it is. He knows that. The kids know that. But the truth still prevailed. Travis Hunter, the most deserving person, did walk out of the building with the Heisman Trophy.
Yeah, absolutely. And I came in the building this morning and looking at that hallway of trophies that I know you've seen many times when you come to meet with Coach Prime. It's going to have to be a whole nother extension to that thing just for the awards that Travis accumulated himself, in addition to that Golden Arm Johnny Unitas Award by Shedeur Sanders. I do think that.
I got to tell Coach Prime, don't lock those trophies up yet because I'll be there. I need to take a picture with every single one. It's a special time right now in Boulder, Colorado.
Yeah, it is, man. I mean, just other than the Thorpe, just almost a clean sweep of it, and well deserving. Nobody gave him anything. Like all these trophies were earned, and he still did not get everything that was due to him. Because I love the way you phrased it and you coined it. The prime tax is indeed real.
Man, Travis worked so hard, to put himself in position. And people don't realize, unless you see it up close, the way he works, the way he practices, the tremendous physical and mental conditioning that he has, and the ability to play at such a high level the entire game. It's really a special, special situation.
Yeah, it indeed is. As we say back at the barbershop, brother, there's levels to this. Speaking of levels to this, we also understand in college football, there can be levels. You have Coach Prime, who has turned this Colorado program around back into a national contender. It's in every conversation as it relates to the future of college football, and really just a woulda, coulda, shoulda, near miss from being in the potentially being in the college football playoffs this year. But when you look at the portal, and you look at the schools that have people entering the portal and where they're choosing to go, for Colorado to pick up a defensive lineman from Alabama, how huge is that? Because we are talking about a guy who was at Alabama.
Man, that boy can ball too, man. I mean, when you think about it, the level of player that they get now in the portal is significantly different than what he got during the first year at
Mhm.
Colorado. It has become a destination place. The amount of kids and parents that call me, Neely, and ask me to send their film in and evaluate them and call Coach Prime and his staff for them. I mean, it's a who's list of guys that want to play there, and they've made it really, really cool to play at the University of Colorado.
Yeah, it absolutely has become a destination. You look at as I sit in Coach Prime's recruiting lounge right now. When folks sit across from him in his room, there's about a 92% sign rate. Because you come here, you see this view at Folsom Field, see these mountains, see this facility, and meet these position coaches. Who bring so much NFL experience. And as Coach Prime says, it's hard to follow somebody somewhere who's never been where you want to go. And when you look at this staff here and the NFL acumen that they have and the proven proof of concept that they know how to get you there, it has to be a destination of choice for those entering the portal as well as coming out of high school.
Well, man, you said a mouthful, and it's not just him. You got Mathis, you got Sapp, you got Lewis, you got Coach Livingston, a bunch of guys with NFL pedigrees, and there's no better place to show you how to get to the NFL than a staff that's full with guys who've been in that league.
Yeah, what do you see in the coming months, for Colorado? Like this is going to be a nonstop thing. We got a bowl game coming up as you close out December. January, everybody will be reporting back for that new semester. So the new guys like Juju are here. You then going into folks getting ready for the draft, his pro days, his combine, then spring break. It's like, man, talk because it looks to me that Colorado is going to be on the tip of everybody's tongue all the way to this time next year.
Well, everybody's going to be waiting to see what do you do without Shador and Travis? What do you do without Shiloh on the defensive side? They're going to say, what is Coach Prime's focus? All these rumors we hearing true. Is the interest in the Cowboys real? What's going on? Everybody's going to be intrigued. Is Juju ready to play right now, or does somebody need to come out of the transfer portal? Did we improve in the trenches? How do you replace two guys? You can't replace Travis and Shador player for player. You have to replace them with the sum of all parts, the entire team you put around. But I'm going to tell you this, I think the team can be even better next season.
I agree with that. When I look around who's been here visiting just this past week and weekend, when I look at the guys who are committed from high school, look, and again, when I say committed, we're in this era in college football that you got to re-recruit your own team. So
Yeah.
even the guys that are coming back, I think that the loss of Shador and Travis goes without saying how significant that is. But now what you have, Coach Carl Reed, what makes me think this team is going to be better, you have an uplifting of the middle of the pack is closer to the front. You don't have two guys who are just runaway light years beyond better than everybody. You got guys who on a scale of 1 to 5 who are fives, but now you got a bunch of 4.5 and fours too, versus two fives and a whole bunch of threes. If people get that analogy on a number line. So I think in totality, this team will absolutely be better than it was this year. And one of the things I share with Coach Prime and I've shared on platforms, one thing we know today that we didn't know this time last year is that 9 wins ain't enough. Like if you're going to come out the Big 12 and go to the Big 12 championship, let alone the CFP, you're talking 10, 11, or even 12 wins, which is undefeated.
That's what it's going to take for you to overcome it and win a 9 win. And it's crazy. A year ago, if you would have said Colorado's going to win 9 games, everybody would have been excited about that. Neither
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And just think here we sit now, 9 ain't enough.
9 even know. Wow.
It's a crazy world we live in with college football, and it's damn near year round, so it doesn't stop. Give us some of your thoughts on the CFP. The bowl games about to start up. We're finally headed on that true road to crowning a national champion.
I think the crazy thing about it, you see the backup quarterback from Penn State going in the portal. You starting to see the noise about what Quinn Ewers is going to do. It's been rumors and reports that he's been offered a significant amount to leave and go to another school in the portal. I think somebody had both him and Arch Manning on a list of potential targets of Bill Belichick at North Carolina. I think the
Wow.
NCAA has to fix this because you can't have the playoffs and have guys leaving teams at the same time. I mean, obviously you can because it's been going on, but it's something that they should look into. And I think that hurts teams with preparation. When you get into the playoffs, though, a lot of interesting matchups, styles make fights. So a lot of time, like Texas has had a great team all year, but Georgia kind of has their number because of the style of play that Georgia has and the way that they're able to defend guys. So some interesting, intriguing matchups, and it's anybody's game. I don't see a clear cut head and shoulders dominant team that's just going to run through the field. I'm excited to see how it plays out.
Yeah, and I love the playoff tree, if you will, because there are some advantageous matchups for some, and some people have a tougher road to hoe, even though they had a better record and a favorable seed. When you chart everything out, you can see different paths to get there. But I'm with you, Carl. I think this thing is wide open, and anybody in there can really get it done because of the way the flow chart is.
Absolutely, man. When you think Oregon probably got stuck with the hardest side of the bracket, and what kind of reward is that for a team that went undefeated?
Yeah,
So I'm interested to see how it plays out. I think we're gonna see a lot of good football. There's gonna be some good football players, but coaches are still having to scramble to keep their rosters together.
yeah, and you touched it right there, man. Keeping your rosters together as we look to the future, I think there are going to have to be some changes in how the portal works, and it lines up with the calendar of bowl games in the CFP and then crowning the national champion. One of the ideas that Coach Prime threw out to me recently was that when it looks at this feeder system, if you will, that so many teams are going to look at guys who were dominant in the FCS level and bring them up. That perhaps there needs to be a ruling where if you're one of the big boys and you go get some guy from the SWAC, that you got to compensate that school for getting that player.
You know what? I actually like that idea, and that that's forward thinking. I wonder if we can see something like that implemented. But I do agree with Coach on that. That would help some of those programs that are losing those guys add revenue to their budgets.
Yeah, absolutely, dog. Because the way I see this thing, Carl. You look at the way JUCOs were systematically years ago. They were that farm system, for the blue blood programs. The SEC would not really go after a guy out of high school, if you will, but he would go to Copiah Lincoln in Mississippi, get 2 years on his belt, and next thing you know, he's at Auburn. Well, I think that same thing is going to happen when you look at the SWAC level, or even all the way up to group of five players. Here you are coming out of high school, weren't sought after by some of the bigger guys. You go and make a name for yourself in year 1 or 2 or even year 3. The phone rings with the bag, and now you're out of here. But that leaves that school having done 2 or 3 years of scholarships, equipments, meals, you name it, and now they got nothing. Could be some compensation in the future for that.
The bag, the bag, the bag. That's all everybody's chasing and all everybody wants. You just got to make sure that when you get opportunity to get the bag, you don't fumble it.
Man, no better way to close this conversation of the big boys than if you get the bag, don't fumble it. That is Coach Carl Reed representing St. Louis STL, baby. You don't know about it, man. That's said the entertainer all the way up to the arch, man. They know how to do it big in St. Louis. It's your man, Uncle Neely, here in Boulder. We got a bowl game coming up, so we'll be back next week with the big boys before the bowl game to talk about the matchup with BYU and what you guys can expect. Any closing words, Coach Carl Reed?
Hey, big ball game. Excited to see Shador and Travis on the field for the last time. Shiloh for the last time. I may even drop in and make an appearance myself, man, because it's going to be special to see those guys all go out together.
Man, would love to have you and see you there. And until then, next time, it's Uncle Neely's Coach Carl Reed. It's the big boys.